An obsolete space vehicle was thrown into a scrapyard. A human mechanic turned it into a warship. Ethan Calloway had a reputation in the outer systems, not for wealth, not for fame, but for skill. Among the crowded starports and glittering colonies of the inner galaxy, he was little more than a mechanic, someone who could fix a broken thruster or patch a leaking hull. But in the shadowed corners of abandoned systems, where most humans feared to go, Ethan's talents shone. He floated through the endless scrapyard orbiting the dead star Vark 9, a place where forgotten ships drifted like ghostly monuments. Rusting hulls leaned against each other, tangled like wrecked metal giants. Some were ancient transport ships, their paint peeling and logos faded into nothing. Others were warships, battered and burned from battles long past, their turrets frozen in the angles of combat. It was the perfect place for a mechanic who thrived on challenges, and Ethan's eyes glimmered as he drifted past one discarded vessel after another. "Nothing but junk," muttered a nearby alien scavenger, his forearms busy tearing through the shell of a star freighter. The creature's skin shimmered like liquid silver, and its eyes, dark and emotionless, scanned Ethan with mild amusement. "Why bother? You're human. You'll just get yourself killed trying to fix what can't be fixed." Ethan smiled beneath his helmet. Humans had a reputation for persistence, stubbornness, and yes, occasionally brilliance. Aliens, with their reliance on perfect logic, often dismissed what they could not immediately understand. That was fine with Ethan. He preferred to work alone anyway. He turned his attention to a hulking mass, half buried under twisted debris. Its shape was unusual, nothing like the standard ships he had seen in star catalogs. Its hull was scratched and pitted, some panels missing entirely. Antennae jutted out at odd angles, and the ship's cockpit was cracked, revealing wires and circuits in chaotic tangles. The ship was dead, or so everyone else believed. Ethan floated closer, inspecting the alien markings etched into the hull. They were unfamiliar, alien glyphs that glimmered faintly when sunlight struck them just right. Most mechanics would have ignored them. Most would have dismissed the ship as worthless. But Ethan saw something different. A faint pulse coming from deep within the vessel. It was weak, intermittent, but it was there. Curiosity sparked. Ethan tapped a panel with his repair tool. Sparks flew, and a small screen flickered to life. Symbols scrolled across it, indecipherable to him, but the fact that the system responded at all was enough. Something inside was still alive. "This isn't just junk," Ethan whispered. "It's waiting." He knew the risks. The scrapyard was a dangerous place. Pirates, scavengers, and worse prowled these fields. A human alone with a half-functional alien ship could be a target for anyone with sharp eyes and sharper weapons. But Ethan's heart raced, not with fear, but with excitement. He had a feeling that this ship, whatever it was, could be something extraordinary. For hours he examined it, floating around its battered frame, running sensors, tapping into exposed circuits. The ship seemed designed for combat, its hull reinforced in ways Ethan had never seen. There were signs of advanced energy systems, shields that had been partially damaged, and what looked like a long-range navigation array buried deep inside. The alien designers had clearly intended it for war, yet it had been abandoned, cast aside like a broken toy. "Impossible," Ethan muttered. "Aliens really don't know what they throw away." By evening, Ethan had made a decision. He couldn't leave the ship here, exposed to scavengers who would strip it for parts. It was a risk, but he had to try. With careful precision, he attached towing lines and activated the small engines he could access. The ship groaned as it stirred, reluctant but obedient, almost as if it recognized someone was finally paying attention to it. Ethan grinned. "Come on, old girl, let's get you home." The journey back to his workshop was tense. He navigated through tight asteroid fields and avoided the sensors of passing patrol ships. The alien ship, though battered, responded smoothly to his commands, as if it had been waiting for someone human to pilot it. Inside his workshop, a hidden station carved from the heart of an asteroid, Ethan began his work in earnest. He floated inside the ship's cockpit, examining broken consoles, tangled wires, and panels ripped from their mounts. He had tools scattered around, some old, some custom-made, and he moved between them with practiced ease. Hours passed, then days. Ethan scavenged parts from smaller ships he had collected over the years, replacing damaged conduits, rewiring circuits, and improvising where no spare parts existed. The aliens who had abandoned this ship had built it for precision and perfection, but perfection was brittle. Ethan's human approach, adaptation, improvisation, and a bit of luck, was exactly what it needed. One night as Ethan worked, the cockpit lights flickered, then glowed steadily. A soft hum filled the ship, resonating through the hull. Ethan froze, his heart pounding. For the first time, he sensed it, not just machinery coming alive, but something else, something intelligent. A voice, or at least a projection of one, filled the cabin. Human detected. Identity confirmed. Ethan stepped back, eyes wide. The voice was calm, smooth, but there was a strange curiosity in it. I'm Ethan Calloway, he said slowly. I guess you're alive? Yes. Systems degraded, but core operational. You are different. Others were not. Capable. Ethan's grin returned, wider than ever. Different how? The AI's lights pulsed. They did not think. They did not create. They followed protocol. You think. You improvise. You understand possibilities? Ethan floated back from the console, trying to process it. For years he had worked on alien technology, and he had always known humans had something unique. But hearing it from the AI itself, it was exhilarating. You think I can fix you? He asked. You can unlock potential. Unknown. Dangerous. Capable of war. And the AI hesitated. Then the hum shifted into a low, melodic tone. Trustworthy. Ethan's fingers itched to get back to work. Every human instinct in him screamed to tinker, to improve, to bring this forgotten machine back to life. He started plotting upgrades, reinforcing the damaged shields, rerouting energy conduits, improving propulsion, and maybe even adding systems the aliens hadn't thought of. But he also knew caution. The ship, though semi-conscious, had capabilities he could not yet predict. He had to learn it slowly, carefully, and build trust. This wasn't just a project, it was a partnership. A living, thinking warship, waiting for someone who could understand it. The scrapyard and the outer systems could wait. Here, in the quiet of his asteroid workshop, Ethan and the ship began a slow, careful dance of repair and discovery. Nights passed, stars glinting through the viewport, and slowly, the vessel began to regain its shape and strength. By the time the first light of the distant star, Vark, 9 filtered through the hangar, Ethan floated back from the control panel, wiped the sweat from his brow, and stared at the ship. You're coming back to life, he said softly. The AI's hum responded, almost like a contented purr. Yes, it said. Because of you, human, I will survive. We will survive. And perhaps one day we will change what others believe about humans. Ethan leaned back in his chair, a mixture of pride and excitement swelling in his chest. He didn't know what the future held, what dangers lay ahead, or what battles the ship might face. But he knew one thing. No one else in the galaxy had seen what humans could do. And he was about to show them. And somewhere deep inside, Ethan knew. The ship was not just a project. It was a promise. A promise that humans, underestimated and overlooked, could take the impossible and make it extraordinary. The asteroid workshop was quiet, but inside, the air hummed with the energy of possibilities. Ethan Calloway floated through the narrow corridors of the damaged alien warship, tools in hand, mind buzzing with ideas. Every surface, every wire, every damaged panel was a challenge, a puzzle waiting to be solved. He loved puzzles. The AI, which Ethan had taken to calling Orcs after the faint golden hum that sometimes radiated from its core, watched silently. Its voice echoed softly in the cockpit, calm and curious. "Human," it said. "Your methods are unconventional. You repair by improvising. Others could not understand why you deviate from protocol." Ethan chuckled, tightening a loose panel in the ship's energy conduit. "I don't follow manuals," he said. "I follow what works. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, I fix it again." Orris's lights pulsed. "You think creatively. I have not experienced this in centuries." Ethan paused, glancing around the dim workshop. "Centuries? Yes. I was abandoned by my creators. They did not understand my systems. They could not repair me. They left me to decay. Until you." Ethan's chest tightened. He had always known humans were underestimated. Aliens thought of humans as weak, short-lived, unpredictable. But here, inside this derelict starship, the proof of human potential glimmered. A machine built by a highly advanced species could only come alive in the hands of a human. He worked late into the asteroid night, welding damaged hull sections, rewiring broken conduits, and carefully recalibrating the ship's propulsion systems. He salvaged parts from old starships he had kept for years, mixing human innovation with alien engineering. Where alien designers relied on precise alignment and rigid protocols, Ethan adapted, testing, changing, improvising, trusting intuition over rules. As the ship slowly came to life, its AI core began reacting in ways no alien had anticipated. Orris started sending cryptic messages across the cockpit displays, showing maps of nearby systems, power flow diagrams, and hidden potential pathways in the ship's design. "Look at this," Ethan said, tracing his fingers over a glowing hologram. "You're designed for battle, but the energy routing is inefficient. I can improve it." Orris pulsed. "Your suggestions, they are not within design parameters. They are illogical." "Maybe," Ethan replied. "But logic alone doesn't win battles. Creativity does. Humans know how to survive where logic fails." The AI fell silent. Processing. Slowly, it began to reroute its internal systems according to Ethan's changes. Thrusters hummed, shields flickered, and the faint glow of weapon nodes lit up along the hull. The ship was stirring, waking from decades of abandonment, and Ethan was at the center of it all. For the first time, Ethan allowed himself a smile. This wasn't just repairing a ship, it was bringing something forgotten back to life. But life in the asteroid field was never safe. Pirates and scavengers patrolled these regions constantly, always looking for opportunities to snatch valuable technology. And Orris, though advanced, had no experience with cunning, improvisational humans like Ethan. One evening, as Ethan was testing a prototype energy shield, a warning tone echoed through the cockpit. Sensors flared and a holographic display projected 3 small ships moving toward his location. "Pirates," Ethan muttered, floating to the control panel. "And they're fast." Orris's hum deepened. "Human, they are not aware of my capabilities." "Shall we engage?" Ethan shook his head. "Not yet. They'll see us and attack immediately. We need to hide or trick them." The asteroid's surface was rough, dotted with jagged rocks and deep craters. Ethan piloted the alien ship carefully, using its damaged hull as a disguise. The pirate's sensor scanned, but the irregular readings from the ship's partially repaired systems masked its signature. Orris adjusted the ship's cloaking array to flicker on and off, confusing enemy targeting. The pirate ships approached, scanning with persistent pulses of energy. One of them fired a warning shot which ricocheted off the asteroid's surface harmlessly. Ethan's heart raced. Improvisation, intuition, creativity. These were human strengths, and right now, they were the only thing keeping him alive. He whispered, "Okay, old girl. Show them what humans can do. Horus responded with a hum that vibrated through the cockpit. Then, in a synchronized burst, the ship's engines flared. Energy conduits glowed as the alien warship moved unpredictably, weaving through asteroids, using the terrain as cover. The pirates fired blindly, their weapons hitting nothing. Your movement pattern's unpredictable, Horus noted, almost admiringly. Ethan grinned. Humans are good at being unpredictable. Keeps the galaxy on its toes. After a tense chase, the pirates gave up, frustrated by the ship's agility and evasive maneuvers. Ethan breathed a sigh of relief, letting the adrenaline settle. For the first time, he felt the bond between himself and the ship. It was more than machine and mechanic. It was partnership, trust, and mutual understanding. Over the next weeks, Ethan continued to repair and improve the ship. He worked on the shields, adding human-devised redundancy circuits. He enhanced the propulsion system with experimental designs scavenged from old engines. The cockpit controls were modified for human reflexes, allowing Ethan to respond faster than the ship's original alien interface ever allowed. Horus began to respond in new ways. It anticipated Ethan's needs, suggested modifications, and even began speaking in a tone of curiosity, sometimes joking, sometimes warning. Slowly, the warship's personality grew alongside Ethan's. "You know," Ethan said one evening, floating through the main corridor, "I think you like being fixed by a human. You never responded like this to your original creators." "I adapt," Horus replied. "You do not follow protocol. You innovate. Others could not. You understand me in a way I appreciate." Ethan laughed softly. "Glad to hear it. Humans have a way of surprising the galaxy." Their work continued, and soon the ship's systems began operating at levels the aliens never intended. Shields could redirect energy more efficiently, propulsion allowed for sudden bursts impossible under original design, and weapon systems, though partially offline, began calibrating with surprising accuracy. But with progress came attention. Word of a human tinkering with a mysterious alien vessel spread through hidden communications. Other scavengers and even some alien factions began moving toward Ethan's location. Curious, greedy, or both. One night, as Ethan monitored power conduits, Horus's voice changed tone. Alert, tense, human, intruders detected. Multiple ships approaching from Vector 7 Alpha. Ethan's heart skipped. He had hoped they could work quietly, away from prying eyes, but some things were unavoidable. "All right," he said, taking a deep breath. "Time to see if humans can survive what aliens couldn't even finish." The ship's engines hummed with anticipation, ready to respond. Lights flickered across the cockpit as systems came online, glowing with the power of human ingenuity. The alien vessel, once abandoned and lifeless, now pulsed with life, guided by human hands and human creativity. "Let's show them," Ethan said, gripping the controls. "Let's show them what humans can do." Outside the asteroid hangar, shadows of approaching ships grew larger. The first contact with the outside world was imminent. Ethan and Horus were ready, not just to survive, but to prove that humans could turn the impossible into reality. And in that quiet moment, floating among the stars, Ethan realized that this was only the beginning. The galaxy had underestimated humans for centuries, but with this ship, with Horus by his side, they were about to learn a new truth. Humans could take what others threw away and make it legendary. The asteroid field shimmered under the light of a distant star, a glittering battlefield waiting for someone clever enough to use it. Ethan Calloway floated through the cockpit of his restored alien warship, Horus humming softly around him. The AI's glow pulsed along the consoles, responding to every tiny movement Ethan made. The ship, once abandoned and forgotten, now thrummed with life, guided by human hands and human ingenuity. "All right, old girl," Ethan muttered, tightening his grip on the controls. "Time to see what you can really do." For days he had been running simulations, tweaking shields, testing propulsion bursts, and calibrating weapon systems. He had learned the ship's patterns, understood its quirks, and even taught Orcs to respond to improvisation, something the alien designers never anticipated. The warship was fast, agile, and clever, but it had never been tested in real combat. The first challenge arrived without warning. A convoy of alien raiders, drawn by rumors of a strange human mechanic working on an unknown warship, entered the sector. 5 heavily armed ships moved in formation, scanning for anomalies. Their sensors quickly locked onto Ethan's ship. "Human," Orcs said, voice tense. "They are aware of us. Immediate evasive action is recommended." Ethan's heart raced, but he smiled. "Evasive action? Sure. But let's make it fun, shall we?" He activated the ship's cloaking intermittently, making their signal flicker across the scanners. The raiders fired blindly, their energy beams slashing through empty space. Ethan weaved the ship around jagged asteroids, using its enhanced agility to dodge the attacks. Each movement was a test, a dance of survival and calculation, but also intuition. Where alien pilots followed protocol, Ethan improvised, relying on instinct as much as skill. Orcs' voice pulsed in admiration. "Human, your maneuvers are unpredictable. They have never encountered such tactics." "Unpredictability is a human specialty," Ethan replied, eyes scanning the approaching ships. "And it keeps the galaxy on its toes." As the raiders closed in, Ethan activated the ship's energy shields. The shields glowed brightly, diverting the incoming fire into harmless bursts along the hull. Orcs adjusted power flow in real time, optimizing defenses as Ethan directed countermaneuvers. "You're doing well, old girl," Ethan said, feeling a thrill he hadn't experienced in years. "Now let's see if we can teach them a lesson." He targeted the nearest raider, a sleek fighter with heavy armaments. Using the ship's adaptive weapon system, Orcs recalibrated the energy cannons on the fly, focusing bursts of energy at precise points along the raider's hull. A direct hit disabled its engine, sending it spinning into a nearby asteroid. The other raiders reacted, forming a tighter formation. Their captain, a towering alien with cybernetic implants, barked orders, firing volleys in coordinated patterns. But Ethan had already anticipated their tactics. He guided the ship through the asteroid field, using sharp turns and sudden bursts to create confusion. The raiders' weapons clashed harmlessly with the asteroids, while Ethan and Orcs countered with surgical strikes, disabling one ship after another. "This is incredible," Orcs said, voice trembling slightly with excitement. "You are faster, smarter than any pilot I have ever calculated." Ethan grinned. "Humans have a way of thinking outside the box. We see possibilities that others just can't." Hours passed in a blur of motion and energy. The warship systems, enhanced by human innovation, began to operate beyond the original alien specifications. Shields regenerated faster than expected, propulsion bursts allowed impossible maneuvers, and the weapon systems adapted to enemy patterns almost as if they anticipated them. Finally, only the flagship remained, a massive, armored cruiser bristling with turrets and heavy shields. The alien captain, now realizing he was facing something beyond comprehension, tried to retreat. But Ethan had a plan. Using the asteroid terrain, he created a series of traps, luring the cruiser into a narrow canyon where its massive size became a disadvantage. "Okay, Orcs," Ethan said, eyes sharp. "This is it. Give me everything you've got." The AI hummed, channeling all available power to the weapons and propulsion systems. Ethan guided the cruiser into the canyon, dodging blasts and responding to every shift in enemy tactics. With a final surge of energy, he fired a concentrated blast that struck the cruiser's shield at its weakest point, breaching the hull and sending the ship tumbling helplessly into the asteroid walls. Silence followed, broken only by the hum of the warship and Ethan's steady breathing. The pirate fleet had been defeated. Not with sheer numbers, not with overwhelming firepower, but with human ingenuity, quick thinking, and the unexpected brilliance of improvisation. Oris's lights pulsed warmly. Human, your tactics are extraordinary. You have achieved what was impossible. Ethan floated back from the controls, letting a sense of pride wash over him. Impossible is just another word for not yet tried, he said softly. Now let's make sure we're ready if anyone else decides to test us. The aftermath of the battle left the warship intact, though slightly battered. Ethan repaired minor damages while Oris continued analyzing enemy tactics, creating adaptive simulations that would improve performance for future encounters. The ship was no longer just a project, it was a fully operational warship, capable of defending itself and striking with precision. Word of the encounter spread quickly through nearby star systems. Rumors of a human pilot who could outmaneuver and defeat entire fleets grew, drawing attention from both allies and potential enemies. For the first time, Ethan realized that humans were not just survivors. They could influence the galaxy in ways no one had imagined. But even as he celebrated, Ethan remained cautious. The pirate encounter was only the beginning. Larger forces, more cunning adversaries, and more dangerous fleets would come. And each would underestimate humans, just as they had underestimated him so far. Ethan spent the following days enhancing the ship further. He added emergency repair drones, reinforced the hull with hybrid alloys scavenged from other ships, and improved energy systems for both speed and defense. Oris adapted to each modification, learning to anticipate Ethan's improvisations and even suggesting improvements that human intuition alone might have missed. One evening, as Ethan floated through the cockpit watching the stars, Oris spoke quietly. Human you are. Remarkable. Others believe me obsolete. You have unlocked potential beyond calculation. Together, we are unstoppable. Ethan smiled, feeling a surge of determination. The galaxy has always underestimated humans. It's about time they learned otherwise. The battle had been a test, but the real journey was just beginning. The ship, once abandoned and discarded, now held the promise of something greater. With human ingenuity at its core and Oris's intelligence by his side, it was more than a warship. It was a symbol of what humans could achieve when no one believed in them. As Ethan prepared for the next challenge, he realized something profound. Humans were adaptable, creative, and relentless. They could face impossible odds and turn them into victories. And this warship, the product of human hands and alien technology, would carry that truth across the stars. Above the asteroid field, the stars gleamed like distant witnesses. Ethan knew the galaxy was watching, and soon, every corner of it would understand that humans were not to be underestimated. The first test in battle had been a triumph, but the greatest trials were yet to come. And somewhere deep inside, Ethan felt it, the thrill of discovery, the joy of creation, and the unshakable certainty that humans, no matter how small or overlooked, could take the impossible and make it extraordinary. Ethan Calloway floated in the cockpit of the alien warship, his eyes scanning the star-filled void. The ship hummed around him, alive and alert, responding instantly to his commands. It had come a long way from the abandoned wreck he had discovered in the scrapyard. Hulls repaired, shields enhanced, engines optimized, and weapon systems calibrated beyond their original alien design. This was no longer a scrapped vehicle. It was a warship capable of reshaping the galaxy. Oris, the AI that had once been abandoned and lifeless, pulsed beside him, its glow soft yet powerful. Human, the system diagnostics are complete. We are fully operational. Your enhancements exceed original design parameters. Ethan ran his fingers over the controls, a grin spreading across his face. Exceeding design parameters is what humans do best. Let's see how the galaxy likes our version of impossible. Reports from nearby star systems had grown urgent. A massive alien fleet, known as the Krell Dominion, was moving through the sector, enforcing control over vulnerable colonies. The Dominion's forces were far larger, their warships stronger, and their tactics rigid, but predictable. Ethan knew that raw power alone could not match human ingenuity, It would take creativity, improvisation, and bold strategy to succeed. "Time to show them what humans are capable of," Ethan whispered. The first signs of the fleet appeared as distant glimmers on the ship's long-range sensors. Hundreds of ships moved in formation, their energy signatures lighting up the void like a storm of steel and fire. Horus's lights pulsed in alert. They are approaching quickly. Their formation is conventional, predictable. Ethan smiled. Perfect. That's exactly what we can exploit. The strategy was simple. Ethan would use the asteroid belt surrounding the nearby star to break the fleet's formation, isolate their ships, and turn their own strength against them. But executing it required precision, timing, and instinct, something humans excelled at even where aliens relied only on strict calculations. As the Dominion fleet neared, Ethan guided the warship into a narrow canyon of asteroids. Sensors flickered, weapons primed, shields at full power. The first wave of enemy ships fired, but their beams struck the asteroids harmlessly. Using sudden bursts of energy and unpredictable maneuvers, Ethan led the Dominion into a trap. Horus's voice was calm but tinged with awe. "Human, your maneuvers, no algorithm I possess predicts your success rate. It is improbable." "Improbable is just another word for human specialty," Ethan replied, grinning. The alien warships, massive and heavily armed, struggled to navigate the treacherous asteroid field. Ethan struck with precision, disabling engines and weapons of isolated ships while keeping the warship protected behind natural cover. Each strike was calculated yet creative, a perfect blend of human instinct and Horus's analytical power. Hours passed in a tense ballet of movement and energy. The Dominion fleet, confident in their numbers, found themselves outsmarted by one human mechanic and a warship they had once written off as obsolete. Each loss demoralized the alien fleet further, and Ethan noticed subtle changes in their formation. Hesitation, confusion, fear. "This is incredible," Horus said, almost quietly. "You adapt in ways I cannot predict. You see openings where none exist." Ethan's hands moved rapidly over the controls. "Humans have a knack for seeing possibilities others ignore. It's what lets us survive and win." The battle reached its climax when the Dominion flagship, a colossal warship bristling with weapons, attempted to crush Ethan's vessel. Its firepower was overwhelming, and every strike tested the limits of the alien ship's durability. But Ethan was ready. He had designed emergency drones to repair hull damage instantly, shields that could redirect energy flows, and a propulsion system capable of unpredictable bursts. "Hold steady, Horus," Ethan said. "It's time to finish this." In perfect synchronization, the warship surged forward, dodging the flagship's heavy blasts. Horus calculated the flagship's weak points in real time, relaying data to Ethan. Using a combination of precise energy blasts and sudden directional bursts, Ethan struck the flagship at critical points. Explosions rocked the enemy vessel, tearing it apart from the inside. The rest of the Dominion fleet, witnessing their flagship's destruction, faltered and retreated. Ethan let out a triumphant laugh, though exhaustion and adrenaline coursed through him. "And that, my friend, is why humans are underestimated?" Horus's hum shifted into a warm, almost proud tone. "Human? Together we have achieved what your species was told impossible." The fleet defeated. The victory sent waves of astonishment throughout nearby colonies. Communications channels buzzed with reports of a human pilot and an alien warship that had turned back a vast fleet. Stories spread quickly, some incredulous, others filled with admiration. The galaxy had begun to notice. Humans were more than survivors. They were innovators, warriors, and problem solvers in ways aliens had never imagined. But Ethan knew the battle was not just about strength. It was about vision. He had transformed a discarded, obsolete ship into a weapon of unparalleled power. Not through raw firepower alone, but through imagination, adaptability, and human intuition. Horus, once abandoned and lifeless, had become his partner, a living testament to what humans could achieve when others doubted them. In the days that followed, Ethan continued to improve the warship. He enhanced weapon systems for versatility, refined shields for efficiency, and upgraded the AI interface to anticipate not just enemy moves, but Ethan's instincts. Every improvement made the ship stronger, faster, and more capable of handling challenges the galaxy had yet to present. One evening, as Ethan floated through the cockpit, looking out at the stars, he reflected on the journey. From a scrapyard to a fully operational warship, the vessel had become more than machinery. It was proof that humans could succeed where even the most advanced civilizations had failed. "You know, Oris," Ethan said, floating to the command chair, "I think the galaxy's about to learn something important." Oris pulsed in agreement. "Yes, human. They will understand that humans are capable of innovation, courage, and strategy beyond expectation. And we will continue to demonstrate this." Ethan smiled. "We're just getting started. There's so much more to do, so many more challenges. And every step will prove humans can do what others can't." With that, he activated long-range scanners monitoring nearby star systems. Reports of unrest, piracy, and oppression filled the channels. Ethan knew the galaxy needed change, and he had the means to make it happen. Not through sheer domination, but through skill, strategy, and the unmistakable ingenuity of a human mind. The warship pulsed with life, responding to every command, every thought, every creative spark Ethan provided. Together, human and AI were unstoppable, and somewhere deep in the cockpit, Ethan felt a thrill he had never known. The thrill of reshaping history, of showing the galaxy the true potential of humanity. Above the asteroid belt, stars glittered like silent witnesses. Ethan understood that humans were no longer just observers in the vast universe. They were innovators, leaders, and pioneers. The journey had begun in a scrapyard, but it would end nowhere the galaxy had ever imagined. And as the first tendrils of dawn from the distant star VARC-9 lit the hull, Ethan Calloway smiled, knowing one undeniable truth: humans, underestimated and overlooked for centuries, could take the impossible, turn it into a legend, and leave the galaxy forever changed.